It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You guys are checking out a special live Friday night edition of the RCWR Show for this March 22nd, 2024. What is going on, my pretty babies? A few minutes removed from Smackdown, another sold-out show where the main attraction was Roman Reigns, the head of the table, who has now surpassed 1,300 days as your Universal Champion and counting, going face-to-face with Cody Rhodes. If y'all had checked out Monday Night Raw from this week, Roman Reigns had laid out the challenge saying, look, show up on this Friday SmackDown alone. Don't have any backup. And I promise you, if you come to SmackDown by yourself, you and me will do our thing in the ring one-on-one. What's up? And to that, Cody Rhodes accepting that challenge. I gotta be honest with you guys. By the way, I want to know what you all have thought about tonight's SmackDown. So if you happen to have X, formerly known as Twitter, go hop over there. I didn't create a poll for the YouTube community this go round. But if you don't have X, formerly known as Twitter, you could definitely post in the comments and all that. Let me know what you had thought about this SmackDown. But I just felt that overall tonight, it was a bit of an average show, which is kind of weird because when you really stop and think about it, we're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. And so the fact that tonight's SmackDown was just a bit of an average show overall. I mean, look, I think it's safe to say, and we can all be in agreement about this, when it comes to the final go-home shows for Raw, SmackDown, and everything, they are going to be on fire, without a shadow of doubt. But you just would have expected a little bit more sizzle, a little bit more pop from this SmackDown. But you know what? Decent for what it was worth. Of course, some interesting little tidbits of news had came about that makes you go, oh wow, this actually was announced. Oh, this is actually going down. Oh yeah, that is what's up. For example, Jade Cargill officially joining the SmackDown roster. They made the announcement tonight on SmackDown that Jade Cargill has officially joined the SmackDown roster. But then on top of that news that they announced, they also said that Jade Cargill will be making her first appearance as a SmackDown superstar next Friday on SmackDown. So that is fantastic in itself. And you know what's really cool about that is the fact that SmackDown is also going to be on Fox next week. We know that from time to time, SmackDown, they've been preempted for their respective time slot on Fox because maybe it's gone to NASCAR or maybe it's going to some type of other sporting event, right? And as a result of that, it's going to FS1. But this is going to put, I'm glad that many eyeballs are going to be able to watch these last couple of SmackDowns on our way to WrestleMania, because that means, you can maximize as much as humanly possible on viewership. I mean, am I right? Or am I right? Right? So I'm looking forward to seeing how everything goes down with Jade Cargill next week. I personally feel that it's a very smart move to have Jade Cargill be put on the SmackDown roster. I think right now, SmackDown is the place to be because there's plenty of room for growth for Jade Cargill. Okay. And look, we know that Jade Cargill, she signed with WWE last year, I think it was, and she's done sporadic appearances that you can count just off of one hand here and there. It's so funny because you're like, man, when is she gonna? And obviously, whatever was going on progression wise with her in ring work, it just wasn't quite up to par yet. So hey, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you gotta let that damn cake stay in the oven for a little bit longer, cause you don't want to take it out too soon. And then when you cut into it, it's all right. It's still soupy and gooey and all that crap. No, you don't want that. I don't want that. Maybe you do, but most people don't want that. So now we're here at this point. I think it's a very smart move. I would not want to see Jade on the Raw roster right now. Now, that could still happen because let's not forget, we still may have ourselves a WWE draft, right? So she very well could head on over there to Raw as part of, but I hope that doesn't happen because right now, looking at the current landscape of Monday Night Raw, I just feel it's just me personally. Y'all can say I'm wrong and we can beg to disagree, but I just personally feel that Jade Cargill would get lost in the shuffle big time over there on Monday Night Raw, especially if it goes down in a way where even after the draft is all said and done, Raw is just so top heavy as I don't know what that you're like, wait a minute, where can we maybe put in Jade Cargill? Where can we squeeze her in? It's kind of right. I'm sure some of you guys can think about some ways that with the current roster intact, if not that many people were to move over to SmackDown, I'm sure there's a lot of you guys that would go, no. There's definitely a way we could make Jade Cargill work with the current roster. Let's do this. Let's do this instead. Do this. But for me, SmackDown, let's see what happens over there. That's good. So can't wait to see how all of that goes down. I wonder if she's going to have some type of interaction with Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair has been very chippy these past couple of weeks, has she not? I mean, seriously, homegirl has been very, very chippy these past couple of weeks. Hey, shout out to those of you that's tuning in, whether it be live or you'll be checking this out for on demand and on the downloads, doing a special Friday night edition show for you guys. Great timing, too, because honestly, the way my schedule was set up, I'm on a extended spring break from classes and everything, so I've been able to just kick back and really relax. Great timing too because of my health issues that was going on. I'm feeling a lot better, by the way. I know last week I gave you guys the update, everything that was going on. My back, it feels a lot better. I still these days I'm pushing a back brace whenever I'm working. It's kind of funny because I really don't need the back brace, but I'm mainly wearing the back brace to help with my posturing and everything, help keep my spine straightened up and everything. And I'm trying to remember to make sure I'm bending a particular way and all that good stuff. But physically, I'm feeling a lot better. All the issues that was going on with the throat and everything, all that is great. With the mouth, everything is great now. Feel very well rested, which is good, which is honestly good and everything. So, but yeah, had a little bit of extra free time. So that's why we're here doing the show. We're going to talk SmackDown. We'll backtrack. We'll talk about the week it was for AEW's Dynamite, Rampage. A little bit later on, we'll talk about X-Men 97. We'll also talk about the Quiet on Set Nickelodeon documentary. It was a 2-night event that had premiered on Investigation Discovery. available on demand via HBO Max. So loads of stuff that we're definitely going to be getting into here on tonight's show. And of course, if you have a question or two you'd like to throw out there, definitely have at it, and we'll definitely tackle it and everything. But I'm still in that position where I'm just taking it easy, and I like doing what we've been doing now, guys. I think we've been averaging almost 90 minutes when we've been doing the shows since I've returned from a little mini break there for health reasons. I think we're going to stick to that formula, if not a little bit less. I mean, look, when the weeks permit it and there's like loads of impactful wrestling related news, entertainment news to talk about, then yeah, obviously we definitely need to, talk about it here on the show and everything. But, otherwise, if there's nothing earth shattering, nothing, let's sink our teeth into this for a little bit. And then, it is what it is. Rey Mysterio on tonight's SmackDown having a one-on-one match there with Santos Escobar. Dominic Mysterio in the closing moments cost his father the win. It was a good match. I'm honestly surprised. Every time I see Rey Mysterio, when I just think about how long I have been watching this man, it's just crazy how this man, he's almost like R-Truth to a certain degree when you think about it. The way this guy is just able to continue to defy father time and everything, right? But this was a really good match. I mentioned that because I'm looking at, a lot of the moves that Rey Mysterio was doing in this thing. I know at one point he basically did a lion salt from the top rope and everything, and I'm going, man, poetry in motion. That move was smooth like butter. I'm going, well, damn, Ray, like, I know you've been gone since November, but damn, you coming out here and man, you acting like you just hit the Bowflex machine all this time, and now you just remember the Bowflex commercial. I know you guys, I've had you all chuckle off of that Bowflex commercial I mentioned from time to time. I'm telling you, I think Rey Mysterio been hitting the damn Bowflex, okay? You know the Bowflex commercial I'm talking about. He got the bald head white guy with the black goatee and the black shades. He goes, my name is Michael. I'm 46 years old, and I use Bowflex. And I remember back in the day, they must have pushed that commercial for like over 10 years. And you're going, yeah, there's no way in hell that Michael is still 45, 46, 47 years old. There's no way in hell that's still the case 10 years later. Come on, can we get an update? Can we see how the guy's looking now? Is he still pushing the Bowflex? Remember that? He's like, my name's Michael. He talks about what his profession was for a living, and then he talked about how he's a bass player and he uses Bowflex. And so I like that idea it gives you, that if you use this machine, not only will you look and feel good, but maybe you'll have this corporate job where you get to wear a tie and nice dress pants and a dress shirt. And who knows, maybe you'll eventually get to play in some type of a rock band or just a band, right? Maybe you're into jazz, whatever the case may be, right? But no, looking at Rey Mysterio tonight, I'm going to do him hitting the Bowflex, man, because, I mean, he just agile, just all over the place and everything. This was a good match. I got to say, of all the matches that was on tonight's card for SmackDown, this was actually my most favorite. I don't look at Dominic Mysterio as, because I know some people will look at that part and say, man, was that really needed? And I would say, yeah, because you still have that history, that deep-rooted history there between Dominic and Rey Mysterio. And I'm very curious to see where exactly that is going to take them, because I know for the past couple of years, Rey Mysterio has been very intrigued, very hyped for the idea of a hair versus mask match. I believe that's what he wants with his son on the grandest stage of them all. So obviously 2 weeks out before WrestleMania, I'd be shocked if something incorporating those two Mysterios in a match with one another, I don't think I'd be shocked, but I don't think it's going to happen. However, I can see some type of a scenario coming about where, okay, all right, Dom, you do this to me. I got you. I got you. I got your number. Okay, I got your number, and it's going to go down a lot sooner rather than later, right? So, but a good match that they had going on there. I know Naomi, Bianca Belair, Bailey. You got that whole friction between Bianca and Bailey still going down. Bianca feeling, yo, can't trust this girl. You know, you trying to throw yourself a little pity party. Well, you know, you had all this coming to you. So, you know, we still got that built up friction going down there and everything. But, you know, here's the thing that's kind of interesting about all of that. You had this segue that went down several minutes later where, who was it? I'm trying to think who it was. I believe it was, because it was a women's match that had went down later on. Naomi versus Io Sky. I wish a scenario would have went down where, all right, picture this, right? Because they actually did this when Naomi entered the ring and Kabuki Warriors had came out. Basically, you know, they were trying to wait for Io Sky because they wanted to hype her up, walk her down the ramp and everything, hype her on while she was doing this one-on-one match and everything. You cut to a backstage scene where Bailey is getting jumped by Io Sky. And I'm just looking at that and I'm going, you know what? I actually would have preferred it if it would have been a case where our girl Bailey was laid out on the ground and you had officials coming to her aid, trying to figure out what the hell's going on and everything. And then the question is brought up, okay, well, you know, what do we do? What do we do with Bailey right here? And then maybe she's carted off on an ambulance and everything. And then you're led to the impression that, oh, it was probably Io Sky or maybe the Kabuki Warriors had did something to her before they had came out. And maybe it turns out, in actuality, it was Bianca Belair. You know, just to put that idea out there. Now, I know some people are like, nah, man, Bianca, she's been killing it as a babyface. Nah, man, last thing we want to do is see Bianca go heel right now. She's so good in the current position that she's in right now and everything. Like, nah, let's not flip the script and everything. But you see the animosity, not hatred, the animosity. You see how resentful she is towards Bailey for everything that was going down in the past and everything. You know, that can take a person to the point of, all right, how much are you going to let that past consume you and affect what's going on in the present? Are you going to let it blind you to the point of, or, hey, you guys got a common foe now. Why not join forces and really stick it to, you feel where I'm coming from? So I just, WWE kind of missed out on an opportunity there, I personally feel, where they could have added to a little bit more drama, and then maybe they could have followed up the very next week with Bailey confronting Bianca. Oh, you know, real convenient that, right? Did Bianca attack Bailey or didn't she, right? Just would have been interesting. And, you know, let's be devil's advocate a little bit. You also could have done something where Io Sky was jumping on Bailey. It would have been badass if we could have seen Belair coming from around the corner and then, ooh, and then she just leans up against the wall and she's just playing with her ponytail and she's smiling and everything, watching Bailey get the living crap beat out of her. That would have been a nice little spot as well. And then, again, you could have followed up the very next week, added on to more of that friction and everything going on between those two girls. So, a couple of missed opportunities, I feel. Sound off. Let me know what you guys think about that and everything. But Io Sky picking up the win in about 9 minutes. Commercial break had really hurt this match for what it was worth. A bit of an average match, too. I would have to say kind of a little bit below average. Post-match, Naomi gets jumped, tried fighting back, but Asuka hit with the miss to blind her. Bianca Belair, obviously, she didn't help Bailey for nothing, but she did show up to save Naomi and everything. So interesting little spot that was going on there. And then from there, we had got the video package there for Jade Cargill, which we had already talked about. Tag team match, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller taking on the OCs, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I totally forgot that the OC was still part of the WWE roster. I mean, seriously, yo. I'm not going to be here on this show. All right? Because I know for most Friday nights, usually by the time I get in the house from working in my classes, I usually have to get ready over on the 401 Mania site to cover Rampage, which, by the way, it feels so damn good. You guys have no idea. It feels so damn good to have a Friday night where I don't have to worry about Rampage for once, right? Because they did Rampage. For those of you that don't know, you don't watch Rampage and all that. Rampage had aired on Wednesday instead of its regular Friday night 10 p.m. time slot on TNT. This is because of the NCAA March Madness that's underway now. March Madness, for those of you that's, you don't follow college basketball, but maybe you're kind of going, so when does college basketball end, right? When does this whole March Madness end? It's going to end the first week of April. That's how long we got to go. But yeah, it got preempted, so they moved it to Wednesday for this week only. But Rampage will be back in its regular day and time slot next Friday and everything. But it just feels so damn good. But no, I bring all that up because usually by the time I get in the house and I'm preparing for Rampage, I've never seen Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So when I'm watching, because I watched SmackDown in its entirety tonight, and I'm like, oh, wow, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are still in the WWE? And I bust a gut. I'm not going to lie. I bust a freaking gut. Theory Waller picking up the win in about 5 minutes, maybe some change. I mean, it is what it is. A very flat match as far as I'm concerned. Very, very flat. From there, what else had went down on tonight's show? Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was talking with Nick Aldis about his match against Logan Paul coming up at WrestleMania when Pretty Deadly interrupted, talking about how they wanted a WrestleMania match. Kevin Owens wants a tag team match next week against them, and he asks Randy Orton, who just happens to be in the area, and Randy's like, yeah, sure, let's go ahead, let's do it. So next week, Pretty Deadly taking on Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. That should be pretty fun. From there was a video package that was shown of AJ Styles and LA Knight, where LA Knight has showed up at AJ Styles' house and they brawled for a bit before the cops were called and LA Knight was taken away. Despite all of this that was going on, LA Knight promising that he'll come back and he's going to take out AJ. And yet, despite all of this stuff that went down, let me see if I got this straight. Despite the fact that LA Knight came to AJ Styles' house, despite this going to an extreme personal level, despite LA Knight saying, AJ, I'm going to take your ass out, son, by any means necessary. Believe that, right? AJ decides not to press charges. He declines to press charges. I just found that to be hilarious like a mofo, man. Seriously. I would have preferred it if it just would have been a case where AJ Styles go, yeah, I want to charge his ass. Hell yeah. Lock his ass up. Yeah, I'll teach you a lesson, you son of a I'm going to teach you a lesson. I would have preferred if, what's going to happen with LA Knight next, right? Drag it out. And then maybe it could have been a case where WWE gets involved and, right, their legal team gets involved. They They talk with AJ. AJ decided, okay, let's go ahead and drop. Right, at least drag it out. Why we just gotta right then and there on the spot? No, no, no. I mean, I know he's on my property. He's on private property here. I know that this isn't company time and everything. Yeah, he's threatening me and all that, but yeah, I'm not gonna press any charges. I'm good. Come on, man. Come on, man. Seriously? Street Profits, meanwhile, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins picking up a win against the authors of Pains, Akeem and Razir. And as a result of that, we've got our final team there. Remember, they've been doing their own little March Madness bracket that's been going on and everything. So it's going to be Street Profits taking on DIY this coming week, and the winner of that will go on to Wrestlemania to face the undisputed tag team champions. Bit of a short match, slow paced, very, very slow paced. I didn't really like this one. Gotta say, I didn't really like this match for what it was worth. And, of course, our main attraction of the night, honestly, the real reason to watch SmackDown this week, besides the one match that I said, go out of your way, check this out and everything. But Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, I love this segment. Great freaking chemistry between both men, bringing their best A-game on the microphone here. I love that what both men had spun in this segment with one another is basically, when you get right down to the heart of the matter. Yeah, obviously there was a lot of stuff that was in there, a lot of fluff, a lot of killing time in there, right? But the real meat and potatoes of this promo exchange between both of these men in this main attraction segment was, can you trust your partner? Can you trust Seth Rollins, a guy that Roman Reigns knows extremely well from his days in the Shield? The ultimate betrayer and all of that. Can Cody Rhodes honestly trust that man to do the right thing when it counts the most? And then the script is flipped on Roman Reigns. Okay, well, can you trust yourself with the most electrifying man in sports and entertainment? Can you really trust that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to do the right thing by you? Right? So shedding all of that doubt that's in there and everything. Really good stuff between both men. I even like the part where Roman Reigns took a dig at Cody Rhodes, saying to him, look at you, like your fake ass, just, you're all about kissing babies. You're all about signing autographs. Hey, anybody got a kid that they want to send Cody's way? Anybody need an autograph? I love how they were just kind of shelling that out there and everything. And I got to admit, sometimes when I see Cody Rhodes, I do kind of feel like, all right, he is doing his Lex Luger. Because that's literally, when you really stop and think about it, he's wearing the suits always, which is great, but he's wearing the suits. He's always taking time to do the autographs. He's taking the time to pose for the pictures. He's got his own version of the Lex Express bus, right? Right. You really stop and think about it. You're going, well, yeah, it does kind of feel like a presidential campaign there a little bit, so to speak, right? Good stuff between both men. Would Roman actually be a man of his word as far as, look, Cody, you show up by yourself? Hey, I'm not going to have the bloodline by my side. Everything going to be on the up and up. Well, technically, Roman did keep his word until all was said and done, and he rolled out of the ring, did a little head nod. Next thing you know, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso appeared. Looked as though maybe this was about to be a beatdown, as they had brought themselves over to Roman Reigns, who at this point was near the top of, almost near the stage ramp. He was slowly getting ready to go up the stage ramp. Now you're just waiting for Roman to just give that nod and basically sick him, right? But then Cody doing a little bit of a head nod himself, and it turns out he did not come alone. Seth Rollins and Jey Uso were there, and they pretty much joined Cody, and Roman just pretty much, your show ends with Roman basically looking on at Cody going, okay, I see you. You learning. Okay. All right. So this was good for what it was worth. If you're looking at everything this week in regards to Cody Rhodes and how he was presented this week, much stronger compared to the previous weeks. I'm still reeling over that Rock joint where Rock was bashing the hell out of Cody. You cried and all that other. Cody came back with a nice rebound, and that's despite the fact that maybe he said a few curse words here and there in that Raw promo and everything. But put that to the side. This was pretty much you could make an argument this was a average to a below average edition of SmackDown this week. But you're able to kind of look past that, so to speak, because, man, look, we're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. Everything's going to be off and popping on all cylinders. It's going to be a great 2-night event and everything. I'm more curious to see what's going to happen with the final 2 editions. I don't know about you guys, but I'm more interested in that. But they made a little bit of progress here, I would have to say, for the most part, what they've done this week. We were talking about the whole Cody promo, the curse words. I see this stuff that's floating around about some WWE talents allegedly having issues with the fact that The Rock is using profanity on his social media accounts and all that. And meanwhile, they can't do it on their respected social media accounts, and Rock is given so much leeway, and it's a double standard basically. And apparently The Rock had echoed the sentiments to a certain degree, as apparently executives had reached out to him to let him know, hey, look, WWE, it's a PG product and everything, and we can't have you going to your social medias and putting out these profanity-laced promos. And Rock pretty much shut that damn thing down and said he's going to speak from the heart. So the fact that that's his way of kind of saying, look, you can kick rocks because I'm going to keep doing this. I'm just going to speak from the heart and everything. Even if you were to take away the profanity that The Rock has been doing on his social media videos, his promos are still on freaking fire. And this crap that allegedly some of the WWE talents are going, hey, there's a double. First things first. First thing I need them to understand. First thing I need for them to admit to themselves is, and sadly, it's sad but true. I hate to go that route, but we're talking about The Rock. We are talking about Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who in his respected time in the WWE had brought in so much money for that company. We are talking about Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who easily made the transition into Hollywood and was a mega blockbuster success until in more recent years. We are talking about Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who has been the new owner of the XFL. Even was able to put together the partnership there. What was it? The USFL League or whatever? Even was able to do that. Apologies in advance if I messed those initials up. Obviously, I don't watch that other league, right? Full disclosure. Right? Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the same Dwayne The Rock Johnson has got his own energy drink line. He's got his own vodka or, Hennessy, whatever the hell it is, but he's got an alcohol line. That same guy. Like, almost everything that this guy has been touching has been making money. Loads of money within reason. To the point that the man is now part of the TKO board. And we want to be like, well, I don't think it's fair. that he gets to use profanity in his promos because I'm so shackled over here that if I was able to do some of those same things that The Rock is doing, I'd be a better character developed too. No. Put the profanity stuff to the side. Rock stuff is freaking good. It's freaking good. You know who else I look at and I go, you know what? Their promos, for what it's worth, it's pretty damn good. It feels like the shackles are off this person. They are putting in some of their best work on the microphone since they've been in the WWE. Drew McIntyre. And I see some of the stuff that Drew McIntyre has been posting on social media. He's not posting stuff and using profanity and all that crap. He's not doing any of that. And the guy is naturally, everything is clicking. Everything is just freaking clicking. So to talk about a double standard, I mean, for me personally, that is just a cop-out. Because when it's all said and done, The Rock in his own way helped lay down the foundation for the work that he put into the company back in his day when he was there full time and all that. He put in his time. He laid down the foundation for ultimately what WWE now is. He is a legend in his own right. Okay? So, no, we're not going to say double standard here. Okay? Because it's not like every 5 to 15 seconds this man was putting out something of a curse word, using something profanity laced. Wasn't even like that at all, right? My challenge to anybody that feels a sense of, I don't know if you want to call it intimidation, or maybe you want to say threatened by the fact that The Rock is able to come in and he's able, if anything, the way that everybody, whether you're in WWE or you are a aspiring up-and-coming wrestler, maybe you've been out there for a hot minute on the independents. Maybe you are a newcomer to the independent scene. Man, look at what The Rock has been doing on social media. Look at what Drew McIntyre has been doing on social media. Look at what my man Karrion Kross has been doing on social media. And say to yourself, hell, you can even look at my man Crowbar. Crowbar posts some of the best damn stuff on social media. I love that dude. Seriously, I love that freaking dude. Every time something is trending, like, sooner or later Crowbar is going to come out with a video. And sure enough, he's got his little red wine and all that. He's got a little suit on, and he starts getting right into the bad boy. He keeps it short to the point, and you're like, another freaking classic. Like, look at all of the stuff. Those are just some cats I name, and some of you all can probably name other cats where you go, hey, their social media game, when it comes to video content, they are on freaking point. I want for you guys to look at some of those names I put out there and go, okay, what are these guys doing right that I'm not doing? What am I doing wrong as far as emotional context goes? I've been bringing that up here on this show for years now. As far as emotional context goes, is it there? Is everything on point? Am I connecting with my viewer on that personal, intimate level? Am I truly being creative with how I'm trying to spin this video? Am I putting enough personality into it for whatever is called upon? Am I being energetic enough? Am I being sassy enough? Am I being playful enough? Am I being a mean son of a enough? Right? You got to ask yourself all of these things, right? But most importantly, when you're doing this stuff, are you having fun with it? Because the viewer that's going to be checking it out, they're going to be able to tell, okay, yeah, you're having fun here. I'm loving it. It's nothing but good vibes, which is what I'm here for. This is what's up. Obviously, you put a lot of creative input into this. And when I say creative input, that don't mean, oh man, you put a lot of CGI into this. No, no, no. I'm not even talking about that. Not even that. It's just, are you well prepared for whatever it is you were trying to put out there for people to check out? Are you doing it enough? Are you putting enough hustle into it? Only you know the answers to that respected question. But I tell you what, The Rock has definitely, if people been falling asleep on social media and proper utilization to get their character and certain storylines over and all that, if they've been sleeping on it up to this point, I would like to imagine that now that The Rock has been shaking things up, so to speak, within recent weeks, hopefully this makes the entire wrestling community look at it as a whole and go, okay, you know what? Yeah, there's a right and a wrong way to really properly utilize social media while also at the same time connecting to the fans, the audience, and also at the same time trying to better flush out the character and potential story arc in hopes that it'll get them in a position where they can get more television time, right? So that would be my challenge to folks, and how they should try and look at it overall. I just looked at that and I just shook my head when I was seeing this alleged report that was floating around and everything. And I'm just going crazy. Like, this is just freaking crazy, right? I don't know. It is what it is. Got some more stuff that we can get into. Quick sidebar, because I believe I had said earlier I would talk a little bit more about it and everything. If I didn't, I apologize. But in regards to my father-in-law, I know that shout out to my boys over there at Wrestling Soup. I know earlier, because I know some of you guys are from the Wrestling Soup audience, and then there are also those of you who maybe you just follow this show of mine and what all I had said from last week. But in regards to my father-in-law, for those of you that may not be aware, my father-in-law was hospitalized. He was in the hospital for at least over a week and a half. A good Samaritan, and shout out to that Samaritan. I never did say thank you, but thank you to that good Samaritan that have found my father-in-law at a bus stop on his knees crawling. Seemed totally out of it, wasn't sure where he was at, and did the right thing, called for an ambulance, and they took my father-in-law to a nearby hospital and everything, and they did tests on him, the whole 9 yards, trying to figure out what was going on with him. They even ended up taking a bone marrow test, to try to rule out leukemia and everything. And happy to say, no leukemia, none of that. What they were able to establish was my father-in-law was anemic. They were able to establish that he was extremely dehydrated. He was deficient in a lot of the vitamin essentials. I know B was one of them. And very, very, he's always been a skinny guy. But according to my wife, like the upper body, it almost kind of looks normal, like what she typically sees. But his legs were so skinny. They were skinnier than his arms. And she's never seen his legs that skinny and everything. And so besides all of that, they also had established, because they were asking, hey, what do you typically eat? Because they were able to, figure out like iron deficiency. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he was just, as far as deficiencies goes, yeah, he's lacking and all of these. And so it got to a point where they said, okay, we recommend that you look into Meals on Wheels so that he can get the essential foods that he needs, as far as his meals go, poultry, fish, right? Have something for the eyes and all of that, because apparently for months upon months upon months, all this man was doing was drinking sodas, having sandwiches, maybe going to the 7-Eleven and eating a hot dog or grabbing a little bag of chips and all that other crap. And that basically was it. And, look, if you're in your teens, maybe early 20s, that sounds really cool to do. Like, that's the life. And you don't pay for it, right? Because your body is still developing, obviously. But when you're in your late 60s, about to creep up on your 70s, yeah, it's not freaking cool. It's not freaking cool. So we were shocked to hear, that's how, because it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, aren't you getting all the necessary foods, at home? Like, because he has a roommate and everything, and usually they split the cost of food and everything, and apparently not. Apparently, I think what it is, because both of them were so up there in age, they don't cook. They rarely cook. So I was shocked to hear that, but he was in the hospital for a week and a half. They just transferred him to a rehab facility. What was it? I think he got checked in this past Tuesday. Now the real work begins, because he had lost so much strength in his legs that for a time there he actually was, he was just in a wheelchair. That's how weak he was. And so he's at the rehab facility. They gotta work him like a dog. They want to get him back to full strength and everything. I know Pops had a nasty smoking habit as well. A lot of his money would go towards cigarettes, and I know that's something that wifey had relayed to them and everything. And while he was in the hospital, they hooked him up with nicotine patches, and it's been helping. He's at the facility, the rehab facility. They're continuing to have him on nicotine patches and all that. So he said he feels a lot better. The one thing that we couldn't figure out, though, is like, okay, how could he let his health get to this point where he is right now? Like, what the hell? And they were able to also figure out that he's been under some type of Great Depression. So they've given him some medication, not too strong of a dosage, but they've given him some stuff for his depression as well. See if that, helps him out. I hear he's in better spirits. I'm actually going to, I got to check with the wifey and see what's going on. Because I told her, I said, if he just wants to, because the way it was broken down to me, Monday through Friday, intense rehab, and usually weekends they're able to chill and just relax and everything. So I said to her, we'll check in with him, ask him, would he want me to come up, hang out with him for a little bit, because I know he's checking out the NCAA games right now, and they've been some pretty good games so far. So I'm thinking about maybe going up there, keeping him company if he wants the company. Otherwise, if he just wants to kick back and relax and everything, it's kind of like, okay, well, just enjoy yourself and all that. But I know he's got my number just in case he needs something. So I think I'll probably just at least maybe call him, just see how he's doing, see if he needs anything, and kind of take it from there and everything. But I'm knocking on wood, and I'm just thanking the stars above that he's okay. I know Tam's felt a lot better. Wifey, I know she felt a lot better because she's actually out of town for this weekend. She's participating at a convention event related to work. And so I know she felt a lot better doing her thing, knowing that Pops is in a better position and everything. So which is really, really good. So yeah, crazy, right? But hey, he's doing a lot better. I had an interesting week. It was funny because my tattoo guy, he hit me up last week, and it was right at the start of my spring break, and he goes, "Hey, any way we can get you to come in here and we can finish up your tattoo?" And I go, "Hey, yeah. I ain't forget about you. And yeah, I was just talking about you. Give me some time. Let me try to figure out, what's going on." I really didn't have the heart to tell him, look, I'm having this health issue, because I know I was still having my respective health issues from last week. And then Pops was going through his. So I didn't have the heart to tell him, even though it was the truth. I didn't have the heart to lay all that on him because, number one, I didn't want him to feel guilty. And then number two, I didn't want him thinking, wow, this sounds like some stuff out of a TV series or a movie or something. Like, why not just say, hey, bad timing, right? So I didn't want to. So I said, no, give me a couple of days, circle back, see what's going on and everything. And so, what was it? This past weekend, once we knew Pops was, much better spirits and all that, and then I'm feeling a lot better. I'm like, okay, let me hit up my guy. Let me see what he's got and everything. And so I had some free time this past Wednesday. So I went up there. Oh, man, I went up there. Nothing bad, but I went up there. I did not know we were going to be working on me that long. So my appointment was for 10 a.m. 10 a.m. And the joint was like, okay, estimated you're going to be here until at least 4 p.m. Your session's going from 10 to 4. So, yeah, I hit my guy up. I say, hey, I'm getting ready to hit the highway right now, man. Getting ready to hit that joint. I'll see you in about 45 minutes. It's like, cool. I'm like, all right. I get in my damn car. I go to Google Maps. I'm like, an hour? Like, an hour? Like, what happened to 45 minutes? Like, now we're talking an hour? I'm like, okay, whatever. Right? I'm going to be there a couple of minutes after 10. Okay, cool, whatever. I missed a critical turn, and as a result of missing that turn, that bad boy tacked on 20 minutes. I was going, And then I missed another turn that happened much later. That tacked on an additional 10 minutes. So I didn't get there until 46 after. And I'm like, so I get there. He's chilling in his car. He's talking to his people. He's like, yo, Lee, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? I was like, I'm so sorry, man. He's like, hey, it happens. He's like, Lord knows I'm late with every single one of my clients. So he's like, it's all good. He's like, I'll be in a couple of minutes. I'm like, all right, cool. So get in there. So we officially started at 11. So we worked on me for about, let me see, I think we went from 11 until probably like 1:30, 2 o'clock. And we took a break, because he wanted to, grab a little bite, get a smoke on and everything. I needed to use the bathroom anyway, so it was great timing. Came on back. Man, we had a ball, man. We watched the new Mike Epps Netflix comedy special. We watched Anaconda. I forgot how comical Anaconda was. Y'all remember Anaconda, the movie? Jennifer Lopez, John Voight, Owen Wilson, Ice Cube. I mean, that was just a funny, when I look at it now, like, it's a funny ass movie. It really is. And just some of the death scenes in that. John Voight's character, particularly, just funny as hell. Like, some of the worst acting I've ever seen, man. Like, but back then, we thought it was, didn't we? We thought it was the bomb, man. We thought it was the bomb. But we watched X-Men 97. We watched BMF. I mean, we was all over the place when we was up there, man. We was all over the place. What's up, Wendell? We were all over the place as we were working on my tattoo and everything. And my wife at one point, she checks in. She goes, have you left yet? And when she said that, this was now like 4 something. I text her back. I go, yeah, I'm still sitting here. And she sends me a laughing emoji, and she follows it up, and she goes, 4 o'clock my ass. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I know. We didn't finish until We did not finish until a little bit after 6 p.m. So I was in the chair basically 11 to 6 p.m. But it was worth it. It was worth it. And it was funny because when he was hitting certain spots on my arm, like when it was like actually hurting, I just went, ooh wee. And he's like, oh, I hit a spot, huh? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. I was thinking he's going to just let that spot be and he's going to just go chill somewhere else and then, come back in a couple of minutes. He's like, no, he just, I'm like, I remember at one point I said, hold up, man. I said, hold up, man. Let me take some ibuprofen real quick. I was like, hang on, before you do that again. Like, hang on. Pop it in. Take a little squig. Okay, all right, go ahead, keep going, right? So it was funny, man. It was fun, but it was worth it, man. We got it done. And he was like, okay, look, I would like to put some highlights on your tat, but I feel if I were to do it right now, it would be overkill, like mad overkill. So what I want to do right now is we'll just finish the work, but, if you want, rest up, heal up, come back in a few weeks, and then we can do the highlights. It'll just be a highlight session only, 150. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And I told him some of my ideas for the next tattoo and everything. And he was like, oh, yeah, bad. And he told me, he said, well, when you're ready and you want to start talking about, really start talking about designs and all that good stuff, he was like, just go online, do another session, and, we'll make it happen and everything. But he did a fantastic job. I'm going to show you my arm right now. It'll be at the 56 minute, I'll say 40-second mark. So for you audio listeners, you now know what you need to look for in regards to the webcast stream and everything. But yeah, it really doesn't do it justice, does it? Let me just move this back a little bit. Let me see if I can kind of, that really doesn't do it justice, does it? I mean, you guys can tell, obviously, because it looks a lot darker and all that good stuff. But if you go on X, formerly known as Twitter, at the RCWR Show, you don't need to have an account. You can actually just pull me up and you can look at my recent posts. If you click on media, you'll see a video that I share of the tattoo when it's finished. It's Malcolm X, for those of you that can't see and all that. But he finished my Malcolm X tattoo. It looks freaking badass. It looks freaking badass. I'm over the moon and back. I remember when I showed it to the wifey afterwards, she was like, she's like, that looks really, really good. I'm like, yeah, it's been hurting like a mofo though. Like this forearm is actually, I know 2 days ago, the forearm was 2 days. I said 2 days ago. The forearm 2 days ago, after all the inking was done, was 2 times bigger than my left forearm. It still looks noticeably bigger now. I'm still dealing with a lot of swelling. Doesn't hurt as bad as Wednesday goes and all that. But yeah, I'm already looking forward to the next tattoo, man. I'm thinking I'll probably do something Marvin Gaye related. Maybe I'll do something X-Men related, because I love X-Men. Always have been in love with X-Men. Speaking of X-Men 97, the entire community, whether you're into the comic books or you just love a good animated series, the entire community has been showing nothing but love for the new X-Men 97 series. And believe the hype. Believe the hype. If you do not have a Disney Plus subscription right now, I would say to you guys 2 things. One, if you want to be in on the conversation, you want to be part of the social trends and all that, then go out of your way, especially if you have some spare money, go out of your way, cough up that $14, $15, $16 for Disney Plus and get that subscription so you can check out X-Men 97. Don't wait until all the episodes are in the books and then go, okay, now I'm going to binge. And I mean, that's nice and everything, but it's better. I think in this particular case, you need to be part of the conversation. You really do. You really need to be part of the conversation in real time, not weeks and weeks and weeks after, all the episodes have dropped, right? And it's only 10 episodes. So they've already dropped 2 episodes this week for the premiere. So obviously that's 8 episodes to go. So that basically means you're going to need to have Disney Plus for 2 months. And you're pretty much, you're going to be good after that, right? What's that, like 2 months, maybe 1 week? That might be pushing it a little bit, but definitely at the bare minimum, 2 months. But it's worth it. Everything that you remember from the original X-Men animated series back in the 90s, they did a fantastic job of honoring everything from that original series. Now, I see a lot of people going, do I need to watch the original series in order to understand what's going on? No, my pretty babies, you don't need to watch the original series. However, if you like having full context, right? If you like having full context and you like being able to put together little Easter eggs that maybe some of the episodes will drop and everything, then I would definitely recommend you watch key episodes from the original series. I would definitely, and you could do a simple Bing or Google search. You can look up the X-Men series from the original series from back in the day and just type in, okay, what's all of the episodes that feature Magneto? I would definitely recommend you go out of your way, look at those. I would definitely recommend you check out the Phoenix Saga episodes. I would definitely recommend you look up the Days of the Future Past. What was it? Like a 2-parter, I think it was. It was either a 2-parter or a 3-parter. Pretty sure it was a 2-parter. Look up the episode where Cable shows up. Most importantly, look up the final episode of X-Men involving Professor Xavier's death. And you're pretty much good to go. Because this series, it does such a fantastic job in picking up literally months after the events that happened in the original X-Men series, while also at the same time embarking on a whole new chapter. I loved it. I freaking loved it. I know that the Morph character had so many people on social media. They haven't even seen the damn episode yet. They haven't even watched one goddamn episode yet. And they're going, X-Men, it's so woke, the Morph character. And I'm like literally saying to myself, before the new X-Men heads and some of the old showrunners and creators and all that from the original series had commented, I'm going, because they're tripping, Morph, oh, he's non-binary. I'm saying to myself, well, when I was reading the X-Men comics back in the day, and I was reading X-Men comics as far back as the early 1980s, so that's how far back I go with X-Men. And everything that I understood about the Morph character, I always felt that the Morph character was one that I don't think the Morph character is truly a man. I don't think the Morph character is truly a woman. I think the Morph character is a character that can pretty much, whatever it sees, it can copy. Plain and simple, whatever it sees, it can copy. And so to put this idea out there now that the Morph character is non-binary, to that I go, well, okay, that makes sense based on everything that, right? Because understand something, you've got mofos, and you know who at what point read the X-Men comics and who isn't, right? You see the mofos as, oh, Marvel being woke. Oh, they being woke with the X-Men. Oh, they being woke with Morph. Oh, and it's like, wait a minute. You know you messed up, right? You know you're exposing yourself, right? Because Morph, the way he is portrayed on this show, he is literally living up to the initial vision from those that came up with the character, right down to the point, I'm pretty confident in saying that if Stan Lee was still alive, Stan Lee would go, they nailed it. They hit it out of the park. That is exactly how I always envisioned Morph. Take it a step further. When you look up interviews from Stan Lee in his own words about why he created the X-Men, co-create the X-Men and all that. I mean, there's plenty of documentation that's out there that holds up to the present that you're going, yeah, Stan would definitely, he would approve this, right? This is the right direction. I thought they handled the Morph character extremely well. I know we're 2 episodes in, but I loved how they nailed down Cyclops. They finally made Cyclops look like and come off like a freaking beast. Just really the great presentation of his powers, particularly. You know, all these years, we always had this impression that when it came to Cyclops and, optic blast, energy projection and all this, you know, we were always under the impression, okay, so Cyclops can pretty much disintegrate your ass, right? Okay, he can pretty much just beam your clothes off and right? I mean, he gonna burn your ass to death or whatever, right? That was the impression that we kind of was always given about the Cyclops character, the way it was presented in video games, even to a certain degree in the comics. But leave it to this crew to really put in the fine attention to detail and talk with the original creators of the original animated series, and then reaching out to some of the X-Men greats, you know, Chris Claremont, and I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And they're like, oh, so Cyclops powers. Oh, okay, so basically, you know, this energy projectile, you know, it does a thing where it's messing around with gravity, and he can kind of push himself off of it, and he can kind of mess with his foes with it. And great presentation. They made him come off like a freaking beast. But Magneto, can we spend some time talking about Magneto? First off, as some of you guys probably know by now, a lot of the original X-Men cast, voice cast members from the original series came back to reprise their roles for X-Men 97. Sadly, the guy who did Magneto in the original series, he died some years back. So I was very curious to see how the new voice actor would tackle Magneto. And I think they got as close to humanly possible of a great replacement, right? Because if you listen very closely to the voice actor doing Magneto, you go, okay, this isn't the same voice actor, but it's pretty damn close to the Magneto that we remember from the original series. It's almost like, remember when Tim Daly did Superman for the animated series, but then when it came time to do Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, Tim Daly, you know, he sadly wasn't available, so they went with a new voice actor. And if you close your eyes, you can go, that's not Tim, but that's pretty damn close to the Superman voice from the Superman series. Same case right here with Magneto. I loved how Magneto was presented, right? You know, we spent all these years, and it's so funny because when I stop and think about it, I tell my friends this all the time. Especially, you know, those that's into the comic books and all this. I tell them this all the time. I say, look, man, I'm waiting for the day where, and I think X-Men 97 captured it beautifully, and just stay with me. But I always tell my friends, I say, you know what, man? I would just love to see, and I've said this to them for years, I would love to see X-Men's Professor Xavier and Magneto pretty much presented in a Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. type of scenario. Because when you really, right, hardcore X-Men fans know what the hell I'm talking about. When you really, if you've really read all the comics on X-Men, you're going, okay, Professor X, yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. Magneto, yeah, Magneto is Malcolm X, right? And so to have Magneto pop up at the end of part 1 with that whole Charles Xavier will testament, I was like, what? And then you go into part 2 and you've got Magneto trying very hard to fight, overcome the demons of his past. He's trying to now live by a better example. He's trying to do right by his old friend Charles Xavier, right? And just the totality of everything involving Magneto and all that. I love the way Magneto shines so damn good in part 2. And we've got 8 episodes to go. That's the beautiful part. We've got 8 episodes to go. So anything can and will happen during the 8 episode run here. Look, it's sad what happened with the showrunner, Bo DeMaio. I would like a little bit more context why it just was a situation where let's just part ways. But I hope somewhere down the road, maybe he could at least be still attached to it as an executive producer, maybe as a consultant of some type. But I love the fact that so far, not that you need Rotten Tomatoes to tell you, right? Just hop on social media and just see what your average Joe is saying about it. But it's been able to maintain 100%. I mean, you even got King LeBron James going, yo, where can I watch X-Men 97? I love the animated series as a kid. Like, where can I watch, right? And everybody trying to help him out. I saw one guy actually jumped out there and said, hey, King, if you don't want to spend the money, just DM me. I can hook you up with my password and email information, and you can watch it that way. And I'm just going, damn, that's mighty freaking generous of you, right? Like, not that the king needs it, but, right? Like, but people were just so nice trying to help out LeBron, make sure he's able to get that access and everything. But that is, and you know what? Look, not for nothing, but this animated series should be talked about on a much grander scale, because I don't see enough people mentioning this part, which I think is very critical. And that's this. Don't look at this X-Men 97 animated series as, oh man, this is just so great content for Disney Plus. Oh, this is great. Look at it also from this standpoint. We know that eventually the X-Men, the live action characters, are going to resurface in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Remember, they were acquired a couple of years back from 20th Century Fox, as well as some other intellectual properties and all that, right? So we know that, thus, Deadpool and Wolverine, right? But we know that eventually the X-Men are going to resurface and everything. I look at what's happening with X-Men 97 as a soft relaunch, perhaps, of what is ultimately to come for the live action X-Men, right? Don't just look at this and be like, oh, nostalgia. It's nostalgia, yes, but on a much grander scale, this is all about reintroducing the X-Men to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so, look, I think this series is going to continue to be definitely a hit. It's going to continue to be successful, right? Enough material has already, because they already got the green light for season 2, right? There's all the material, like, it's ready to go, right? All they got to do is just get into production already, assuming they'll get the green light, which they will, and then they'll go from there, right? But look at it from that standpoint as well. Disney is being very strategic right now, and I'm all fine for it. Also, I would love to see this same team. My personal preference, I don't know how you guys feel, but I would love to see this same team ultimately work on a Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s, I would love to see them do a revival of that. Because remember how that series ended. In case you guys maybe forgot, it ended with Peter trying to find Mary Jane because she got sent to some dimension or whatever. And so it ended on such a bad cliffhanger. And we're like, what's up? And please don't come at your man with that crappy ass Spider-Man show that came out after Spider-Man the animated series was over. Y'all know the one I'm talking about. I think it was called Spider-Man Unlimited. Lee Sanders has no recollection of that one. Like, I refuse to remember that. That was so bad. That was so damn bad. Don't even get me started at. No. Let's just stick to Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s. I think the same team working on X-Men, it'd be awesome if they could do that, bring that back, give proper closure and everything. And then, after that, brother would love to see Silver Surfer. I've always been a fan of Silver Surfer. And I love the animated series that they had of him from back in the day. I thought it was great. I thought it was very underrated. But at the same time, even back then as a teenager, I felt that, okay, I might be enjoying these episodes, but I felt that the weight of the scripts, the content, I felt that it might have been over the heads of a much younger audience. Because when you really stop and think about it, and you go back to that Silver Surfer series, that was really aimed at later teens and up. Man, if I'm lying or if I got it wrong, you guys let me know. But that's how it always came off to me. So, great what's going on with X-Men 97. Good stuff right there. Let's talk a little bit more wrestling news. I can talk a little bit more entertainment news, but let's talk a little bit more wrestling news for you guys. And, some other stuff that's going on. By the way, let me know what you guys had thought about SmackDown. Or if you guys want to ask me a question in the chat, you can definitely do that as well. I am seeing what you guys are putting up in the chat and everything. Chris talking about how Bayley should be given a moment at WrestleMania 40. Chris, I think you answered your own statement there. I mean, if you just be patient, I believe that you and everybody else that's a Bayley fan is going to be rewarded come WrestleMania 40. I mean, obviously, it's a bit early right now to get into WrestleMania predictions and everything, but it's honestly safe to say that for all intents and purposes, unless WWE has other plans, it's safe to say that Bayley is definitely going to have that moment and then some. So I highly doubt that Io Sky is going to be walking out of WrestleMania still the women's champion. I highly SmackDown women's champion. I highly doubt that. What about you guys? Do you think that Io is walking out of Mania, or you guys got Bayley taking that title? You can sound off, let me know and everything, but I feel, for all intents and purposes, she's definitely going to be having her moment. Just wait and see. And like I said, we're about 2 weeks away from going through WrestleMania predictions, so we'll see what's up. Hey, I was talking about AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage. Look, I'm not going to do a full-blown review, but I do want to give you guys just my bullet point thoughts overall, because it was a 3-hour block of AEW programming from this past Wednesday and everything. They were out there in Canada and all that. And look, I thought the 3-hour block was great overall. Particularly, I found AEW Rampage to be really, really good. As many of you guys know, I cover AEW Rampage every week over on the 401 Mania site. I've been covering Rampage since the very first episode. Okay? So, and I've always called it right down the middle. Sometimes, most of the time, most people agree with my rating and review. And then there's times where people are like, nah, man, I think you got this wrong. But when it's all said and done, I always call it how I see it. I'm always honest about it, right? But I felt that Rampage that was done this past Wednesday was one of the strongest editions of Rampage that I have seen in quite a long time. And I put it over big time. I think I gave the Rampage show a 9 out of 10. That's how much I had enjoyed that episode. I know I was interacting with folks in the chat that night when it came to that episode, and a lot of people were feeling it, especially the women's street fight tag match there with Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale taking on Julia Hart and Sky Blue. I mean, that was a solid ass main event. And you had a really good, strong lead in too for Rampage, because Edge versus Christian for the TNT Championship, it didn't properly end on Dynamite. It carried over into Rampage. So that was kind of nice to have the first 3 to 4 minutes of Rampage, go with that and everything. So, but me personally, I was more into Rampage than Dynamite. Dynamite was good, but for me personally, I felt Rampage was really, really, really good, right? Ratings are now out. So you got Dynamite viewership. That is slightly up. Dynamite did 800,000 viewers and a 0.27 demo in the 18 to 49 demographic. Meanwhile, Rampage did 541,000 viewers and a 0.18 in the 18 to 49 demographic. So, I mean, that is pretty damn good. When you look at Rampage, particularly, that was its best number. My God, what did they say, since last year? Like over a year ago for Rampage? You're going, wow. That speaks volumes. And then in regards to Dynamite, you can literally look at that, right? And you can say, okay, look, despite the fact that Dynamite was live in Canada, you loaded it up with a couple of good main events and everything, when it's all said and done, you barely got past 800,000. We're literally at a point right now where if you are an AEW fan, or just a wrestling fan in general, and you want the very best for your favorite promotion, you're looking at these numbers for the past 2 weeks, from when Mercedes Moné made her debut and then the follow-up right here. You can literally make an argument that, okay, sadly, we got a case right here where the same people are showing up for this. This is the hardcore fan base that is showing up here right now. And, there's not much growth as a result. Like, you could even say there's no growth. It's just pretty much the hardcore. That is your baseline. That is your hardcore fans that's showing up to check out the show. That is your faithful that's coming out to check out the show. You can make that argument. I'm more curious about the future of Rampage. Shout out to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics. I know last year he had asked a question to Tony Khan about the idea of a third hour of wrestling programming for AEW. And his whole thing was, would that be a third hour of live original content by extending Dynamite an extra hour, or maybe it goes to Rampage, and Tony Khan was stumped at the question. He loved the question, admitted he loved the question, said it was a great question, praised Brandon for the question and everything, but he really didn't have an answer for it, because at that time they were still looking over the numbers. They were still analyzing the numbers and everything, right? And now we have seen many instances where, typically once we get Rampage, we'll get a Battle of the Belt special, or they've switched it up and said, okay, Collision is over, but stick around because we're doing a Battle of the Belt special and everything, right? So the question has to be asked. And I posed this question on social media, and it got a couple of likes and everything, but I think the question really needs to be asked. At this point, because Rampage, has continued to struggle in its Friday 10 p.m. time slot, is it safe to say, is it now time to start having talks about moving Rampage to either Saturday nights after Collision or Wednesday nights after Dynamite? Because you're knocking out a whole lot of good things by moving it. For starters, you're eliminating spoilers. Because Lord knows, if you wait about an hour after Dynamite goes off the air, you'll typically find out what the spoilers are going to be for that week's Rampage. And if they happen to maybe push it back and maybe, well, not push it back, but if when Collision goes down, Tony Khan decides, okay, let's film another edition of Rampage since we're here, you're going to hear spoilers for that one. So, for starters, it would definitely eliminate spoilers out there on social media and on the internet. And then the other thing that I think is most critical is the fact that Rampage would be live. And you have that lead in from either a Collision or Dynamite. You have that live lead in as Rampage is live. I mean, I think it would do good. I know there was, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but I know there was one commenter over on Twitter that had said, man, if you move Rampage over there after Dynamite, that 800,000, it could eventually go to just an average of 700,000. And I think what he meant by that was collectively, when you combine the two shows, you look at the viewership and all that, he's thinking maybe collectively it would be 700,000. So I guess in his eyes, the viewership would go down even more eventually for Dynamite, because you can make an argument that according to his eyes and what he's been seeing these past couple of years, it's going to get to a point where Dynamite is going to be below, and then you're looking at Rampage. I get where he's coming from. I do. Could it potentially get that low in such a short time span? I don't know about that. I think it would take maybe at least, what would you guys say, maybe 2 years to get to that point where Dynamite is maybe averaging just over 600,000 in viewership. I think we're a couple of years away from that. But the conversation definitely needs to be discussed as far as, okay, the future of Rampage. What happens here? What do you do with that? We know Tony Khan and them, they tried at one point having, what was it? Didn't they have Rampage? Yeah, didn't they have Rampage go head-to-head with Smackdown, if I remember right, last year? And then they had Battle of the Belts come on afterwards. Didn't they do something weird like that? There was something that they did last year where they had a 2-hour block of programming go head-to-head with SmackDown. And you're just going, I don't know about this one, dog. Seriously, I don't think this was a good move. And we saw afterwards, that they did, in fact, pay for that, right? But having Rampage be live, I think that would definitely be very essential for AEW and them. So as long as, this brings me to another point, the quality has to continue to be banging. If you are continuing to put out really good editions of Rampage with the quality of the matches that you had put into it from this past Wednesday, oh man, but don't take my word for it. Y'all go out of your way, check out my article review up on the 401 Mania site and just read the comments. The people in the comments, they were just everybody all out of the woodwork, discussing the episode and talking about how, solid of a of an episode it was, especially the main event. Hey, I want to give a speedy recovery, best wishes to Afa Anoa. In case you guys had missed it, he had underwent scheduled back surgery after suffering from a fall recently. It was postponed, and then he finally went on ahead and had the surgery. It was to fix multiple fractures that resulted in a fall. So wishing him a speedy recovery as the surgery, it was a success. And then something that went under the radar is that I saw a lot of my friends and colleagues missed out on, as it really was not talked about amongst the community. Speedy recovery to Maurice, Miz's wife. In case you guys are not aware, she had got some surgery done to get some tumors removed. There was some stuff that was going on with her going back last month where she had to undergo a hysterectomy after having a serious borderline ovarian tumors removed. And she had posted on social media that she had got the surgery done and she's now tumor free. So speedy recovery to her as well. Something else for you wrestling fans to be very excited about. I know it's definitely a favorite of mine. The WWE Slammy Awards are coming back. It's going down WrestleMania weekend, and you guys can vote right now. All you got to do is head on over to WWE.com/Slammies. /Slammies, and you can go vote. They are dubbing this the Fans Choice Awards. So this is not about WWE going in apparently this is all about the fans being able to vote. So go to WWE.com/Slammies. That's SLAMMYS, and you can vote. I'll read to you guys what's going on here for your options and all that. This is very similar to the wrestling awards that we did a couple of weeks back. We got to make sure that we share the list too throughout social media. Maybe kind of pick up on what WWE is doing with the Slammies. But check this out. For Female Superstar of the Year, your nominees are Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Io Sky, and Becky Lynch. For Male Superstar of the Year, you have Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Gunther, and Logan Paul. I know, he's in Male Superstar of the Year. Best Entrance, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, The Rock, Dominic Mysterio from WrestleMania 39. For Return of the Year, CM Punk, The Rock, Nia Jax, Randy Orton, Naomi. Faction of the Year, Judgment Day, Alpha Academy, Imperium, Bloodline, Damage Control. Rivalry of the Year, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio, Bianca Belair versus Damage Control, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, R-Truth versus Judgment Day. We have a category for NXT Superstar of the Year, Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Braun Breaker. Match of the Year, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest, San Juan Street Fight, Backlash 2023. Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn, Elimination Chamber 2023. Gunther versus Chad Gable, Raw, September 4th, 2023. Asuka versus Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair from SummerSlam 2023. OMG, Moment of the Year, Rey Mysterio punches Dominic Mysterio, SmackDown, March 24th, 2023. CM Punk returns to WWE Survivor Series 2023. That should win, hands down. Io Sky cashing in the Money in the Bank contract, SummerSlam 2023. The Rock slaps Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania press conference. Possibly, but CM Punk, this should be a landslide victory for him. Damage Control turns on Bayley, SmackDown, February 2nd, 2024. Cody Rhodes slaps The Rock, SmackDown, March 8th, 2024. Social Star of the Year. Grayson Waller, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Chelsea Green, Liv Morgan. It should be between Logan and Drew. Should be between Logan and Drew. If Logan wins, okay. Because I can just hear Logan Paul on his Impulse show and all that. Hey guys, go, and like his social media followers were just. But in all honesty, Drew has really been stepping it up with his social game. He should be the one to win. Final category, Breakout Superstar of the Year. Jey Uso, Tiffany Stratton, Pretty Deadly, Dragon Lee, LA Knight. It's between Tiffany Stratton and LA Knight. I wouldn't be surprised to hear a tie, honestly. But Knight should get that. Knight should get that. We shall see. We shall see. Those are all the categories. You can vote. You can vote right now. So this is weird how they have this. Let me see here. So do you have to click on each? Okay. See, they don't do a good job. Let me help you guys out real quick, because when you guys land on the site, you guys are going to be like, where do you vote? Where do you vote? Where do you vote? Where do you vote? And it says on here, click the links below to vote in each category. And yet they don't create a HTML hot link so that, you know how it is, like, well, you guys that know your source coding and all that, you all know what I'm talking about. Typically, when you're trying to create a link that's going to open up a new tab window, you know, typically it's highlighted, it's in blue or whatever font color. They don't have that here. So if you're looking at this, when you land on the page initially, you're going, where the hell am I supposed to land? And you have to literally look at your cursor as you're moving it to see, oh, it turns into a finger, right? So as soon as you highlight the Female Superstar of the Year text, just click it and it'll automatically, yeah, this is very tedious. They are not doing this right. So basically what they want you to do for each category title, they want you to click on it. It opens up a new window. You vote on that window and then close it out, go back, rinse, repeat. That is too damn tedious. Why not just let it be one freaking page? That makes no sense. Seriously, that makes no sense. That's very silly. That is very, very silly. Whatever. But hey, go vote. Let your voices be heard. Will I vote? Yeah, I'll definitely vote. I will definitely cast my vote in that. I'll definitely do it over the weekend when I get a free moment there. In other wrestling-related news, Jack Perry has denied claims. He apologized for his backstage fight with CM Punk and says that his request for a release was shot down. Remember, it was reported that Perry apologized for his backstage altercation with CM Punk at AEW All In, and that he texted Tony Khan several times to say he was sorry. Well, apparently the Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez is now reporting that Perry has denied those claims, saying he never texted Tony Khan to say he was sorry, and that he told Khan's lawyers that he wouldn't initiate his contract with the AEW owner. According to Perry, he didn't hear from Khan for 2 months after the All In pay-per-view, and that Khan set up a meeting before Full Gear in November. From there, during that meeting, Perry says there was discussions of plans to bring back Perry in December. He says those plans were scrapped after Punk returned to WWE at Survivor Series. As you all know, Perry has been working exclusively for New Japan Pro Wrestling since then. He wanted to work Wrestle Kingdom, but couldn't for logistical reasons. He says he worked with Khan and Rocky Romero to arrange his current NJPW run. He also said that he asked for a release from his AEW contract but was denied and is still under a deal there. He says there are no plans to bring him back and that he has neither talked to Khan in months nor cleared anything he's done in NJPW storylines, such as ripping up his AEW contract on TV and calling himself the scapegoat. So that's all what's going on. So, whether or not it's true or I mean, you would like to believe that some elements to what's being reported out there is true. You would like to believe that once CM Punk saw, you would like to believe that once Tony Khan saw that, holy crap, this company took him back. They took him back in like a heartbeat, and this guy is like 2 times more freaking over than he was when I had him. You would like to believe that it was a case where Tony Khan probably looked at Jack Perry and said, "Go to your room! Go to your room right now! No dinner! Go to your room!" You would like to believe that, right? It probably went down along those lines. Maybe not verbally, but mentally, quietly, Tony Khan, I don't want to see that mother right now. Make him disappear, right? So, and the fact that, let's assume this is all legit, and the fact that Perry wanted to get out of his contract, Tony Khan is like, no, not letting you out. I mean, even though that, that's essentially the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do when you really stop to think about it, and everything. Because, you can definitely make an argument Jack Perry cost Tony Khan. I mean, because really stop and think about this. Look at all the struggles that's going on with Collision now, which was at one point a CM Punk production. CM Punk was calling all the freaking shots on that damn show. Yeah, he was getting a little bit of help from Daniel Bryan as well, but CM Punk, I mean, the way that show was presented, I'm sure that if CM Punk could have continued to be in AEW, have his hands in there on Collision, what's his name, will probably still be working there. Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly would probably still be there if Punk was there. We just never know. But you look at where the viewership was when Collision started and Punk was part of it. And then right down to the point, I've said this from time to time. It's been kind of rare, though, but I don't say it to spam it out. It's just one of those, hey, here's an observation. And that's, you look at how things were when Punk was involved in Collision. I can't speak for you all, but I know for myself, because I have to pay attention to social media trends and all that stuff, right? So much engagement was going on back when Punk was part of that show. You had so many people doing live watch-alongs. I can remember participating in a bunch of wrestling Discord little chat rooms and everything. Mofos doing all kinds of watch-alongs. And you had people out the yin-yang, whether it was 20, 30, 40, 50 people showing up, watching the stream. Everybody's having a good time and everything. And then once Punk was out, everything just dwindled. Like that viewership, it just kept getting... Y'all saw what went down with the viewership for last weekend's Collision, right? What did they crack again? Didn't they crack like 500 something, or was it less than that and it was in the 400,000 range? Either way, I think they said like it was the worst number for Collision in its show history. And you're like, whoa, the hell is going on here? Right? So, we've gotten to that point now where, okay, apparently your hardcore faithful is going to always tune in, right? This is your hardcore faithful viewership right here. And then you're looking at this other show over here. And then you're looking at this other show over here, right? Now, obviously, you can't put all of that blame on one man, being Jack Perry. You can't, right? You got to look at a totality type of situation, right? There are just so many things that's like, when it's all said and done, you can have all the talent that you want signed to insert the name of the company. But when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, it's really not about putting on 5-star matches. At the end of the day, that wrestling fan, besides having a great match, that wrestling fan cares about emotional context. They care about storylines. They care about storylines, particularly that they can be heavily invested in. And the more that you dive into that and you do your best to connect to that viewer through those characters and everything, rather than have them just come out there and do a whole bunch of freaking moves, you feel where I'm coming from? So, but look, for me personally, for the record, it's not all on Jack Perry. I would imagine Tony Khan was pretty pissed at what was going on, right? And it's so funny because when you stop and think about it, what has happened since the removal of CM Punk? Okay, they've gotten Will Ospreay. They've gotten Mercedes Moné. They've gotten Edge, Adam Copeland. They got him, right? And you still can't get anywhere of a whiff of at least 900,000 viewership on the regular and up. You can't get a whiff of. My challenge to these guys would be to sit down and, okay, let's look at our story arcs here. Let's start mapping some stuff out. Let's really map stuff out for key characters. Where do we hope to be with? I mean, you can tell when you're watching these shows that on a week-to-week basis, it's just pretty much, what match are we going to throw together here? It almost comes off like, those online general manager joints. I know Tony Khan used to be really big on those back in the day. But it really does come off like that. And look, this isn't coming from an AEW hater. I love all forms of wrestling. I watch so many promotions, it's not even funny. I try to do my best to, hype independent promotions and all of that. And I want nothing but the very best, because when these companies are really freaking thriving, those men and women that's working in that ring, those that's working behind the scenes, everybody is eating. Everybody is eating good, right? They're thriving. And when they're thriving, the wrestling community as a whole is thriving. From your vloggers to your bloggers to your podcasters, like we're all thriving, right? It's nothing but good, right? Want nothing but the very best. So, we'll see what happens. 2024 is still very early. I know Tony Khan had hired a couple of key figureheads. I know he's got a new writer and everything, and you can see little tweaks here and there of some stuff being done. Okay. Looks like but let's fast forward a few months and let's see where things really, really go from here. All right? It's one of those type of deals. How many of you guys had checked out the Quiet on Set Nickelodeon documentary on Investigation Discovery? If you have Max, it's now available to stream online anytime. Man, let me tell you. That thing, I watched both nights. I know I had talked about one of the nights. Maybe I previewed it, actually. I think I might have previewed it. But, man, Jesus, that thing, I just could not help but shake my head in disgust. When I was talking about it with my tattoo guy, man, we must have spent about 20 minutes talking about that thing, because he's a father himself. Young kid. I met his son once. Nice kid, very very respectful, quiet kid. Kind of one of those. Yes sir, no sir. Type of. He's doing his son right. He's teaching him very well. And I can legit feel that love and great concern that he has for his son and everything. And we were going back and forth, and we were just talking about, man, how could these kids be put in this very delicate position where you've got the parents trying to provide their feedback on some of these skits that they're seeing their kids involved in, and they're essentially being told, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, we had already ran this through the focus group people. We already had ran this through the producers, and, they're okay with it. So, there's no problem there. So, why are you fussing? Like, just go sit down over there, enjoy the catering, basically. And the parents are not trying to rock the boat there because, sadly, for some of these parents, they're looking at this as a situation where, hey, my kid is the breadwinner here, and our future success rests on their shoulders. So if we want to continue to be successful, and we want to be able to generate some type of money and be able to do this and this and all of this, we gotta shut up and let the kid go to work and everything, right? I mean, can you just imagine that for a second, being a parent and putting that type of responsibility on a kid when it should just be about, okay, my kid loves being in front of the camera. They want to be an actor, and, they just want to have fun and, whatever, right? They just want to have fun, right? They want to perfect their craft and all that other cool stuff, right? Like, that's all they want to do. It was so messed up watching, some of these kids in the positions that they were in. And I know I had said immediately after I got done watching the 2-part special that going forward, and it needs to somehow, look, we shouldn't even have to wait until the next potential strike for the Actors Guild to go down. Like, there should be some new language written into it right now for the actors, particularly for child actors, that, okay, anytime we have a child that is on the set, we need to have a therapist that is involved, and, that kid can talk to that therapist, can tell them any and everything. It will basically be confidential, but there will be certain things that will be shared with the parents so that the parents know where their kids' headspace is at, because some of these kids didn't ask to be put in a position of being an actor in Hollywood and trying to be the breadwinner. Some of them didn't ask for that. They just got forced into that position. So for that child's mental health, their state of mind, peace, and well-being, there should definitely be a therapist involved in making sure that, hey, are you all right? Like, where you at right now? Talk to me. I mean, look, we've got this in effect for police officers. I mean, really stop and think about it. In almost every other industry, to a degree, there's an option where you can talk to maybe a grief counselor. You can talk to a therapist. I know when I was coming up in the 80s and everything, even all the way up in through high school, you had an option to talk to a school therapist. And if push came to shove, if it was to the extreme where, okay, we need to get your parents involved, right? A phone call would be made, obviously, and all of that. But those kids on set, they definitely need that. They need that. To see the stuff that was going on there with Pickle Boy, what was his name? Brian Peck, I think was his name. That crap, that shit was disgusting. That was disgusting. I still can't, and you're trying to tell me that a guy who puts a pickle through a men's bathroom glory hole to everybody loves Raymond's, Ray Romana, who is just making love to that pickle. And you got Pickle Boy just nodding his head and everything in delight. You're trying to tell me that's not aimed, that's not adult porn humor. You're trying to tell me that's not adult porn humor. It's just comedy. It's just comedy for kids. That Nickelodeon producer, Dan Schneider, that dude is freaking, he will burn in hell. Rest assured on that one, right? He will burn in hell. But the most tragic thing was just seeing the stuff that was going on there with Drake Bell. Like, a lot of those kids, they had it bad, obviously, but Drake Bell and everything that happened with him and Pickle Boy, Brian Peck, all the signs, the warning signs were there. And Drake Bell's dad saw those signs, tried to jump out there and express his concerns. And he's told, oh, well, you're picking up the vibes that you're picking up because Brian is gay. And what's wrong with you? Do you not like homosexuals? And of course, the dad has to back down, but he's getting these weird vibes from this guy. You have the freaking party thing that goes down at Brian's house. One of the child actors notices the clown illustration, and Pickle Boy's like, yeah, I got that from John Wayne Gacy. Wait, the John Wayne Gacy? Yeah, he made that for me. Look him up, people, if you don't know who John Wayne Gacy is. Yeah, we exchanged letters and everything. We're pen pals. That should have been enough right there to go to HR collectively and say, you got me. I don't know what's going on there. my daughter heard something. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, you know what I think it is? I think she's hearing my oldest dog, because my oldest dog, sometimes she has a little bit of a hard time walking around. So I bet you that's what was going on. Anyway, let's keep going. Pickle Boy, right? You would have thought that collectively all the parents would have gotten together after that whole crap went down with the John Wayne Gacy crap. Went to HR and said, look, we don't want this guy anywhere near our kids. Like, no. Send him somewhere else. Put him in another, keep him away from our kids. But it just kept the sick, twisted mental games that Pickle Boy was playing with the whole divide and conquering of the parents and the dad eventually, losing, his rights there and the relationship being strained there with Drake. It just the whole sickening. Just very, very sickening in order to put himself in a position where he could be alone with Drake and do those terrible things to that man as a young boy. And then the ramifications of that, as Drake would have years and years of his own personal problems. A lot of stuff that the guy is still dealing with almost to this very day. Like, you just shake your head and you just go. Now, Dan Schneider, I don't know how many guys of you are aware of this, but he did a 19-minute video. And a lot of people had thought, this was through the Hollywood Reporter. And it turns out this interview that he conducted with this black guy, the black guy apparently used to work on the set of, is it iCarly? I never watched all that stuff on Nickelodeon because that just wasn't for me, right? I was more, if Double Dare was on, I was watching that. But if there was no Double Dare, I didn't care for it. I went and watched my X-Men, my Spider-Man, Yu-Gi-Oh! I was watching cooler stuff, Saved by the Bell. I was watching all that stuff. But you had this freaking guy do this interview with somebody that turns out, because they pretty much disqualified themselves as soon as they began the interview. Dan and this black guy are friends. They've known each other for years. You know, and he want to jump out there, well, in my own personal experience, right? In my own personal experience. And you're like, and then apparently this was something that was produced. Go research it if you don't believe me. It turns out this was something that was produced. This interview, 19-minute video of an interview. This was something that was produced by Dan Schneider, which he basically uploaded to his YouTube channel, basically part of his production company. So he wasn't even being interviewed by an actual journalist. Right? It's not like you're seeing Dan Schneider, hey, I want to, let me call my agent real quick. I want to book myself on the Today Show. I want to book myself on Good Morning America. I want to book myself on, CBS Mornings, right? I want to get on there and I want to get me on a Drew Barrymore show or no, none of that. None of that. Because I think he knows deep down inside that those mofos would light his ass up. The brother asked some nice softball questions and, anything that you want to talk about, anything you want to, particularly address. And, there should have been a lot of pushback. There should have been a lot of point, counterpoint. Make sure no stone is left unturned and everything, and like I said to my wife and like I said to my tattoo guy, I said, yo, this dude hasn't been working in like almost 6 years. You didn't need to wait until a documentary came out over the span of 2 nights to smear your freaking name if you really cared about it enough to then say something in the years prior. You shouldn't have to take a documentary to make you, right? You should have been if you were truly sincere. This is just him going on the fucking defense, trying to save himself when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, right? Now, we're all collectively going, yo, can we get something on Disney? We know there's a lot of dark stuff going on there over there on Disney. Let's get a documentary on Disney now, right? The Disney network we're talking about, right? It's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But go out of your way if you haven't watched it, watch it, and definitely participate in the discussion online, because I mean, it just such an eye-opening experience. I know for a lot of my followers, after they had looked at the documentary, they were like, man, now as an adult, and I go back and I look at these particular scenes, from this show or this show, like, to know deep down in my heart that this is an adult joke, but it's being done on a kid's show. Like, yeah, man, this had no business to freaking... And of course, Dan Schneider is probably going to say, well, hey, and that's kudos to him for going, look, if it's inappropriate, if people feel it's inappropriate today, I say cut it, whatever show, whatever episode, go ahead, cut it. But it's like, yeah, but like, dude, here's the thing. You can talk about maybe society has changed today, but when you really stop and look at it way back then, it was wrong then. Come on, man. We got a young Ariana Grande squeezing a potato talking about she wants the juice. She wants the juice. Can the juice come out? Where's the juice? And then she's laying on her back in the bed and she's pouring a bottle of water all over herself. Like, very disturbing. Very free. There's more instances of just, what the hell is going on here? Like, what the hell are we watching? Are we really watching a freaking kid show that's aimed towards kids? Or are we watching content that is aimed towards a whole audience that's on the dark web? Y'all catch my drift on that one. Check it out. Very eye-opening. If you're part of a relationship, if you're young parents, you'll definitely look at that and you'll be having a a lot of discussions, deep discussions afterwards, especially if you're considering having your child participate in Hollywood, right? You want to have them go after TV roles or movie roles and all that. You definitely gonna pump the brakes afterwards and be like, well, wait a minute here, right? But check it out. Other than that, I think that's it. We went a little bit longer because I felt pretty good, and it's still relatively early and everything. So look, as far as programming notes go, let me give you guys some heads up tippet news right now. Your next edition, I'll be live with you guys on Monday night, March 25th. I'll be on after WWE Raw goes off the air, so join me for that. That should be good. I'll pretty much do a nice little recap of Raw. We'll also cover the latest in some wrestling, entertainment news, and everything. You guys going out to see the new Ghostbusters movie? I'm seeing some decent reviews so far. I tried going on the Regal website because I was interested in getting the popcorn holder. You know, the little ghost trap that the Ghostbusters use to put the ghosts in. I was trying to get one of those things. I don't see it because I was ready to buy it outright, but I don't think my local Regal Cinema is making it available, sadly, which sucks. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go on eBay, see if I can find it or whatever. And if it's available for a decent price, you know, hey, cool, right? But no, I might see that this weekend. I don't know. I'm kind of debating right now. I may see it. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to those of you that's going to go out and see that. But yeah, Monday, March 25th, that'll be your next edition of the RCWR show. I don't know if we're going to do a Wednesday show. The way I kind of feel right now, I know for certain Monday shows, but I kind of feel like at this point, maybe we should just kind of play around a little bit and maybe start doing either Thursday night shows or maybe Friday night shows. I think it just, really depends. I know I still want to do twice a week, but there's just a part of me that's kind of going, because I've noticed, like, usually there's more interesting stuff that goes down after we've done the Wednesday show. Like, it seems like Thursday, there's usually some interesting big pieces of news that goes down. And then sadly, I'm not able to talk about those things until that following Monday. So I'm kind of playing around with the idea of pushing the Wednesday show back. I'll probably put a poll up to ask you guys, hey, what do you think? What would you like to see happen? And you guys can just sound off and vote that way. But for sure, you'll get a Monday show. Shout out to our sponsors, by the way. They have been awesome partners of ours for these past couple of weeks. I really appreciate their patience, being able to work with me and everything, especially during everything that was going on in the Sanders household. I definitely want to give a shout out to our good friends over at ShopTotallyT-shirt.com. Whether you have a sports team company or a charitable event and need custom t-shirts, hats, or hoodies, ShopTotallyT-shirt.com can help. They've got the best and high-quality items, affordable prices with top-notch customer service. Hit them up, ShopTotallyT-shirt.com. We're also brought to you in part by the good folks over at MercSaver.com. They've got unbeatable deals on items that's 99 cents or less. New items are added daily. And the best part, if you make a purchase of $15 or more, you get free shipping. So check them out, MercSaver.com. We're also brought to you in part by our friends over at Dewback.com. If you're looking for the perfect gift for him, her, or for the kids, Dewback.com has you covered with awesome deals, discounts up to 80% off, coupons up to 50% off, cashback offers up to 20% off as well. Check them out. Get rewarded just for shopping Dewback.com. Appreciate all of them. Appreciate our friends of the show. Shout out to Mish Thomas and Joe Numbers of Wrestling Soup. Love you, buds. Shout out to my man Julian Cannon. I'm looking for him to write up some stuff about some of the news that's going on with Power Origins and BMF, and I got to see what he's been saying about the Walking Dead, the ones we love, the ones who live, whatever. You know the one I'm talking about, the Rick Grimes Michonne joint. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I haven't talked about it at great length yet. I'm still processing all the episodes as it's coming together and everything. I think at this point, once we have a pretty ribbon around it, which I believe 6 episodes total, that's when I'll talk about it as a whole and everything, and go from there. BMF has been on a nice roll so far, though. Shout out to the cast and crew on BMF. I've been enjoying this new season so far. I'm gonna actually watch the newest episode because I know it had dropped on Friday earlier today. So, it took me 3 episodes to realize, oh snap, blah, 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 that's Neo. I don't know how many of you guys that watch BMF, I don't know how many of you guys had spotted Neo, because I remember seeing the interview that Neo was doing with Meech, and he was like, oh yeah, like, he's part of the crew, he's part of the cast. And I've been looking for him for these past 3 episodes. I'm like, where is he? Like, he's supposed to. They did a hell of a job with the makeup and everything. They did a fantastic job making him look completely different, unrecognizable. Great work that they did. Great work that they did. So yeah, get at your man on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, at the RCWR Show. Be sure to check out my work over on 401mania.com as well. If you enjoyed this, can't stress it enough. Share, like. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. It's free. Takes a second. Really helps out as far as putting more eyeballs on the content, pushing us out there to a more wider audience. Really helps out with the algorithm as well as far as content recommendations go. Can't stress that enough. Thank you guys that had tuned in live, but most importantly, thank you to those that's going to be checking this out for on demand and on the downloads. And until next go round, my pretty babies, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Y'all take care. Be warm out there too. I know some parts are dealing with snow, unfortunately. That's so weird. Like, spring is here, yet we're being hit with snow in some parts on the East Coast. Crazy. Take care, y'all.